marker of this group, despite being a new team. We'll have to see, because they have another good contestant in both Team Secret and Navi. Navi, who have not had a bad showing lately, God.
Yeah, their Star Ladder run was decent. Like, they didn't take one of the two spots. That went to Secret, who was in their group as well. But Navi finished like middle to like upper middle of the pack. They had a lot of draws, including draws against those top teams. And for a new team, a team that has been a bit shaky at times, they've looked a lot more impressive. Like, I definitely look at Navi and think this is a team with some good potential.
What if Star Ladder was best of threes? Would have Navi actually come out on top against some of those bigger name teams within the European region? We don't know, but we'll have a chance to see, at least in the secret matchup, whether Navi can go toe-to-toe with Puppey and Boys. Team Secret going to start off with an early pickup of the Shadow Demon. Standard right now. We'll see how Navi respond and whether or not Godz, are we afraid of Shadow Demon Luna anymore, or do you think have teams adjusted enough to be able to deal with that?
10 seconds remaining.
I think there's still room for it to be very, very effective. I mean, it's not like an auto win by any means. That's why a lot of games you still see Shadow Demon left in the pool and Luna even more often left in the pool, but you've got to obviously draft around it, have some strong team fight to combat it, have a good gap closer to get past those illusions and get to the actual Shadow Demon, or get to the real Luna herself. Slider fits the bill, and they actually take the Luna away, and we'll be running most likely Pycat on that hero.
Wow, I'm very surprised by that, because I thought they were gonna let the Luna out, and I thought they were actually gonna pick up the Rubik, seeing as Navi have picked up that Rubik so many times now. It seems to be a very clear favorite of theirs. That I thought, Rubik Slardar, good opening, potentially you can run a support Slardar because of the Rubik, and that leaves your draft fairly open, but instead they're going to pick up the Luna. Now, denying the Shadow Demon Luna is one thing, but you're also picking up the Luna, and this is why teams prefer picking up the Shadow Demon first, because now you have to deal with Shadow Demon versus Luna, which is also quite the threat, especially since we saw the power of Shadow Demon. What was that, game 2 at of that match earlier, where Shadow Demon against some of these hard carries can pack quite the punch, and Luna is no exception.
Oh yeah, and I think that's something, Navi are going to have to adjust around and know that they can't just have their Luna running up the front lines, getting disrupted and having those Luna illusions turned around on you. Of course, it's not as easier said than done. Shadow Demon doesn't want to put himself in a position to get caught by a Slider Crush, but there is potential for Shadow Demon to turn the Luna against herself and be a big menace. So we'll see what Secret have in mind with this second pick of theirs, whether they're going to start going into some of their core heroes. Some of their preferred heroes have been taken out. We're not going to see the flavor hero, the Lone Druid. The Ember has been something that mid one's always excelled at, but even more so in the current patch has been a top pick for them. So for now, it does feel like Secret may choose to reveal a core hero of some kind, but they've also got that option to pick up the Puppey support as well.
There's still plenty of those Puppey supports still available. He may not be able to play this game, but there's still the 10 that's out there. There's still Silencer that they've been picking up quite a bit. It seems like one or two ways with Puppey. Either gets a really good roaming hero, or he gets one of those scale. So they either have this incredible strength in the laning phase with Puppey's movement, or they have the opportunity on. This is a bit of a surprise, though. Maybe a core would be picked up. They go for the Terror Blade. A match.
I really like this though. Yeah, because it guarantees you get one of the better illusion agi carries to pair with the Shadow Demon. But I think more than that, I think that's not reason enough to pick the Terrorblade. But Terrorblade is one of the best counter picks to Luna as far as carry v carry matchups go. You outrange the Luna so heavily that it's very hard for the Luna to get to the Terrorblade. The Eclipse damage to kill a Terrorblade is unreliable, because unless you've got a teammate stunning and locking the Terrorblade down, he can just time the Sunder such that the damage done to the Terrorblade gets turned around on the Luna. So I feel like in general, TB is a great counter pick to Luna.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit as well. I like any combination that allows a very intense amount of physical damage to threaten Luna's life, so you can't just depend on that BKB mid game and throw out Eclipse damage. I feel like that's going to be a worthy strategy, and then add the combination of you actually having a significant, perhaps overwhelming amount of pushing power with the Shadow Demon Terrorblade illusion strat. You've got yourself quite the combination. Secret. Navi thinking long and hard about what the hell they're going to do about this as they stretch into some of the reserve time for this 3.
I've got to imagine Secret ban Tinker. That's like the best TB counter in the game. I think it's almost like impossible to play TB against Tinker unless your team shuts down the Tinker and he becomes useless. At that point, it's not Terrorblade beating the Tinker; it's the rest of your team beating him. And that's a hero that Dendy's played like multiple times in their recent matches as well. So I feel like that's a must-ban hero for Secret in one of these 2 slots. But I mean, Dendy is flexible. He's played other stuff. He's played the OD a few times, but I think Navi will be thrown a bit off by this Terrorblade pick. That's the other nice thing about the second pick TB is you can now protect it with these couple of bans.
Yeah, certainly. Tinker.
Navi's turn to ban.
Well, probably you want to run the Slider as a support if you can get like a solid offlaner like a Darkseer, which is now banned out. So depending on what they feel they can get general instead, I guess is going to probably tell more of the story there. I'm trying to think what Navi. I think mostly been running like the 4 position Slider. They've done quite a few games with Pudge as well. That's been one of their go-to picks for that 4 position role. But with the Slider picked up, I imagine more likely they're looking for an offlaner rather than like a 4 position.
10 seconds remaining.
King and the Underlord being banned away by Navi. Had to be a 3-4 pickup or 3-4 ban, seeing as the pushing power of Team Secret already quite threatening. It would make that whole situation a whole worse. They actually ban away the Ogre, thinking maybe they kind of hedge both their bets, right? They take away an offlaner and they also take away a 4 position. Just in case Slardar is either one, they're going to give the Crystal Maiden to Navi as a result. Crystal, the aura, pretty good here. Jungling potential a little bit, but Team Secret immediately going for the
more amplifies the physical damage, and also is a preemptive Tinker. I say preemptive Tinker counter because I feel like Secret almost they must fully know that Tinker is one of the heroes Navi are looking at for that mid lane. They don't ban it out. They must feel confident they can beat it through the rest of the draft since Terrorblade isn't going to match up too well against the hero. So Venge, you've got the wave to help scout him out when he's blinking over trees and you can swap him in. And we'll see if Navi go for the 4th pick Tinker or if they're going to maybe pass it up thinking that Secret have a way of beating it.
Yeah, if that Tinker is picked up, then Team Secret could respond with like an offlane Nyx assassin. They still have plenty of mids left in the pool that could go against that line. So Navi having a long, hard think whether or not they go for that mid laner at this draft or a little bit.
It's kind of this trade-off. Like, if you can get a 10th pick Tinker and know that there's no good counters for it, like, you can just win the game off of that. But at the same time, if you feel like Tinker's like the ideal pick to have against Terrorblade, it may just be worth picking it and then facing a few counter picks like the Nyx or whatever, or the Clockwork, whatever it may be.
It seems like at least with this pickup, Navi may be taking route with this approach and going for a lot of team fight and now initiation in the hands of Axe. I kind of like the Axe because I feel like you need a guaranteed initiator, and Slardar is a little bit hit or miss when it comes to his offlane position and what his timing is on Blink Dagger. Axe is a lot more assured, right? But Secret just got a big sustain pickup, and the Enigma offlane early mech, that's going to be able to... They have multiple saving mechanisms for Terrorblade. Disruption, swap, mech now for the Enigma, and even if they overcommit towards the Terrorblade, there's still a black hole that they have to play around as well.
Yeah, this is that big aura machine for the team, and here that Navi are going to have to be concerned about as far as making sure they have enough damage to burst down whoever they go on, because otherwise that like mech, pipe, Crimson Guard, whatever build you want to go for an Enigma, in and it suddenly can look very, very ugly for you if you overcommit to a fight into an Enigma.
Team Secret's turn to ban.
Sniper, probably one of the best mids to match up against the Luna. I think we had to talk about that at some point in time since there is a Team Secret mid still left open. But that being said, Terrorblade and Sniper, that would have been I think a little bit slow, but potentially a little bit they would have been very... It wouldn't have been a very well-rounded lineup. It would have been very defensive heroes behind glass cannon cores, and that could lead to just being an initiation game for Navi. The right kind of initiation could just single-handedly allow you to blow out Team Secret. I think I prefer a little bit more of a fighting and perhaps slightly tankier mid. What are you thinking?
10 seconds.
Yeah, I like the idea of like the Shadow Fiend type mid laner, perhaps. I mean, it is a bit farm intensive, like with a Terrorblade, as far as Secret are concerned. So maybe they're a bit worried about that. But I think the Sniper is something that would struggle against the Slaughter Axe. If those heroes get on top of the Sniper, it can be a bit difficult to play around, even with like the Hurricane Pike type builds that we're seeing a bit more of. But they go Invoker, so more of a comfort hero for mid one. And now we'll see what Navi have in mind. I think the Tinker still stands out, as does the OD, as perhaps Dendy's two heroes he's very comfortable on that also match up well against the Terrorblade. OD pretty good against the Invoker as well. I think Tinker still fits quite nicely as well as a comfort pick.
I feel like if they go the OD, they may have a little bit too all-in face power, and I kind of want to go back to your Tinker pickup that you've been suggesting for Navi all along. There's so much defensive power on the side with the Shadow Demon eventually. I feel like more often than not, these initiations are going to go around Navi, and these full-on teammate powers are just not going to work out. I'd like the later game more, the slower aspect against this team.
I think, I mean, this is, to me, like, the fact, like, I've been calling this from, like, since the Terrorblades picked up the Tinker's coming, I'm sure Secret and Puppy were thinking the same thing, so they must feel confident that they don't rate Tinker highly, think they have the heroes to deal with it, because banning, like, the Queen of Pain over it, not banning in the second stage, to me, is a bit, like, that to me is a surprise, but definitely something where Puppy, of course, has done his homework and is well prepared for dealing with a Tinker.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. If you're in Team Secret's position, 5th ban, would you have rather dealt with the Queen of Pain on Navi's side than last big Tinker?
Yeah. I mean, I personally would. I'm probably also coming from a biased perspective because I played that Terrorblade versus Tinker matchup way too many times, and it's absolutely miserable. So, as someone who mostly plays the carry role, I absolutely hate versus Tinker. So, a bit biased.
If I forever be, but I definitely would have opted to ban the Tinker. Just felt like he was more of a threat, but we'll have to see. I mean, the Secret definitely, they may not have the direct hero counters. They've got the swap out from the Vengeful Spirit, and maybe they can get some sort of catch with the Quaswex Invoker, but they do also have a tempo early.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the key thing for Secret, is hitting these timings with Metamorph and the mech on the Enigma, where they can just kind of brute force down these lanes. Ideally, Slaughter's probably not going to have a blink. At most, maybe Navi have the first blink dagger on the Axe, and without great follow-up for that Axe right now, like, Tinker has like a perhaps potential boots of travel and a couple of levels, but when you hit that mech timing, that Tinker TP in with an Axe blink isn't quite as scary. You can make sure that whoever gets initiated on gets healed back up and kept alive. There's not much burst damage coming out from a support Crystal Maiden. Luna has to get in close if she wants to use an Eclipse, and that's where the Terrorblade and the Invoker can both punish the Luna. And it's MP playing the Invoker, interestingly. I wonder if he's going to be going for a Quaswex build here, if it's going to be the Exalt one. Any preference as far as you're looking at this game?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I mentioned the Quaswex Invoker because I saw MP playing it. I was like, well, that's the MP specialty, right? Is that Quaswex Invoker? It definitely is a bit interesting. I'm not sure how Mid One feels about Terrorblade. He likes that pickup as well, and MP clearly versed in the Invoker, so
both
whole switch around.
Both their games, so they played a game against Vega and against Ad Finum with Terrorblade, and both those games Mid One was on it. So I think it must be the Terrorblade, which is when they swap their roles up, because typically Mid One is still playing those mid lanes. Like, he's played the Shadow Fiend a couple days ago, and MP's still playing most of the safe laners, but it seems just the Terrorblade, they swap things up.
And he does have Exort right away, so we could still see a Quas version. We could see the Wexort build from Invoker, where he's very Alacrity focused in the beginning. But then again, he's matched up against a Tinker. I'm not sure how well that Wexort build would really work out, at least inning phase one, against that laser and that miss percentage chance. So maybe he is just going to go full Exort. I thought because Navi's so initiation dependent in some ways, less so because the Tinker pickup, but I think they still need it for most of their team fights. I thought the quick reactions, the Tornado EMP of the Quas Wex Invoker would have been quite valuable.
Yeah, I was looking at this game like where you've got enough damage output coming from the Terrorblade that you don't need the Exalt build as well. It seems like a greedier approach. The Exo Invoker typically takes a bit longer to come online. Like if you look at how quick they played it, I don't imagine we're going to see MP played at that extreme. It's very much like you're playing to fight around that 30 to 40 minute stage of the game. You're not looking to group up with your team to push. You're playing very isolated, very kind of separated from your team, and may change, very likely will change with MP because you can kind of go with your team when they've got Metamorphosis, pop an Alacrity on the Terrorblade, perhaps fight around the level 15 timing where you've got the double Forge Spirits, but it doesn't really strike me as like immediate like, oh yeah, this is a great Exalt game. If anything, it's the Quas Wex, which can cripple Axe. You hit an EMP on an Axe or a Slaughter, those are both very low mana pool heroes who can get heavily punished by that.
I completely agree. Thinking about the extra, do you think it's more of that late game focus you're talking about, or do you think it has more to do with Forge Spirits adding into the pushes? Because I am honestly completely unsure what the reasoning is behind it over Quas Wex.
I think it's got to be more the late game because they probably just feel like they may not be able to push down enough towers against the Tinker because getting the double Forge Spirits at level 15, by then you're pushing into March of the Machines and enough AoE that the double Forge Spirits isn't really the difference maker for a push in my mind. Mid lane Puppey, gonna harass Dendy down some.
Gonna be able to get a stun into a Sunstrike, into a Disruption, and very early First Blood should be here for Secret against Dendy's Tinker. So start out there for Secret, and Navi not able to get that information across fast enough with their aggro tri-lane. Midwan is just playing completely off the lane against this until his supports choose to come over. But do they even come over? Because this is a tri-lane I'm not quite so sure you can beat with Shattered Demon, Vengeful Spirit, and Terror.
Yeah, this is a tricky one. They're going to get the side pulls off. If they get that CM early aura as well, this tri-lane then has the mana to sustain, constantly spamming crushes as well as Lucent Beams. So, in my mind, they're better off, getting another kill on mid. They smoked up. They're already looking for Dendy once again. And whether or not this succeeds, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, at this point, the supports at bottom have to be saying, look, no one's here. Like, they're even scouting aggressively in the jungle. Like, there is no signs of anyone, but Pi has still got the disruption.
It's going to be underneath the tower, too. They're going to be able to hit that magic missile. MP goes for the cold snap over the Sunstrike here, hoping they can get enough damage out, but instead, they are going to be forced away by RMN. His TP rotation in puts a stop to all that. Meanwhile, Kezu, it looks like he was just heading out to the side shop and receive a bit of harassment damage.
Early Blightstone pickup for Kezu. Bit of an interesting choice. We saw Hestejo just rushing the Arcane Boots yesterday. Typically, you look at like the fast Soul Ring, and going for the Blightstone. Obviously, able to do decent right-click damage, but I feel like it's a big gold investment considering how desperately you want to get either your Soul Ring or Arcane Boots up. I'm not a big fan of this Blightstone early on Enigma.
I'm not sure. He must really feel like he's going to be able to get a lot of damage out with his conversions, but doesn't Axe just kind of like charge? Unless you're perfect with your micro, you're gonna lose those Eidolons. Axe charge. And
he was able to just get some nice harass here. Axe is actually a very low armor hero when he's not Berserker Call, of course. So seeing on just the 2 base armor gets him down to 0. But yeah, I think it is still a bit of an interesting choice. I mean, there's plenty of HP regen on general. He's got Salve and Tengos, and he's just going to farm the conversions up top. Yeah, well, it doesn't get the... Okay, there's the spin. Got very unlucky there initially, but does end up getting the kill. Those give decent gold and experience.
Yeah, 100 gold for those 3 demonic conversions, and a good amount of experience. He's now up to already dealing with the constant denies of the Enigma fairly well if he can kill those Eidolons. Looks like Vengeful Spirit is not going to be helping out this bottom lane. Pylai is just here as maybe a pittance of help and a saving grace, but it really doesn't look like they want to commit to this try versus try scenario and would much rather keep the pressure on the Tinker. But there's only so many ganks you can do on this Tinker. At some point, you do have to find a solution to this aggro tri lane.
Yeah, Puppey doing his greedy support thing, just jungling it up, using the tower to help him clear this camp. and going to try and get some early experience and levels for himself. Just staying off the map as well. It's always very scary. Like if there's a Venge or something missing on the map, you've got to be worried about your mid lane getting ganked. You've got to have TPs ready on your supports. So just staying off the map applies pressure in itself right now. But yeah, Kezu's goes Arcane Boot, so his farm rate's going to really accelerate now. He's able to farm the jungle, he can get the bounty rune, then he can go right back to the lane. And we'll be looking at a very fast mech as a result.
I mean, they're from Puppey. They'll still get the disruption. Now, he doesn't have the mana for another magic missile, so they should not be able to get this kill unless RMN runs in the wrong direction. They still have the Sunstrike. It's on point. RMN gets taken out by MP. Nicely played.
Yeah, very, very well done. That's a nice little kill. The support's getting some good XP. Puppey already level 4. Fortunately, Pi just level 1, but that's the Pi life sometimes. And mid one, while not farming well in this bottom lane, is at least getting experience. Going for one early point in the reflection, so has some aggressive potential off of this. And they are trying to set up, but doesn't look like Pycat's going to let Shadow Demon get close enough for that disruption.
Yeah, I think they really wanted to force a fight while RMN is still away after that death, but unable to connect. Now the lane's pushing forward, and RMN and his gank into mid lane can go unpunished in bottom, but doesn't really feel it. Tries to show his face out there, thought about going for the crush, thinks twice though. Refraction goes, or Reflection rather, goes down in the bottom lane. Looks like they tried damage on the mid one, but nothing more, just a bit of a poke, that is all.
And so far, lane's looking pretty good for Navi, though. Like, your Axe is matching Enigma farm for farm, like as you kind of hope for in that lane. Dendi is crushing mid in terms of CS, even with the early death. He's got 18 denies with 23 last hits. MP really struggling to get farm in this 1v1 matchup.
Oh, this laning phase would go so much better for Navi if it wasn't for this pesky ward right here, which is spotting out Slardar. It's constant rotations into the jungle and into mid.
I mean, those kills for Secret are very, very unfortunate that they're getting them based on the fact that Navi are winning the lanes for the most part outside of it.
Invisibility.
But we'll see runes now being picked up. Ironman sneaks the bounty rune, and with an invis rune, Biver does pose a threat to mid lane, the bottom lane. Throwing arrows for Ironman to loop around, and MP needs to be very careful in this mid lane. This laser cooldown.
Very defensive ward. May actually have a downside, which is no river vision, but it does seem like MP is going to play back, even though they don't know about the invis specifically. Is playing passive enough at the right time. General's going to try and do a wraparound on Kezu, but they already have the TP coming in from Puppey, so General is going to find himself in a 1v2 scenario against a black hole as well. Looks like they should be able to get this kill. Meanwhile, while we're watching that, it looks like MP did not play as conservatively as we hoped. The Invis Rune does strike a kill in mid.
Yeah, good move from Puppey. That Radiant Observer at top, just knowing that Axe was trying to go behind the lane, get a bit greedy going for the conversions, and it's definitely worth using those early black holes to get solo kills on core heroes, be it an off laner, mid laner, a carry. Secret now, first metamorphosis.
Midwan gonna turn on the Biver, will be able to pick up that kill. Pycat can't do much to help his support. Kezu actually drops pretty low in that top lane. The General missing the call still. I'm not sure how Kezu dropped so low that a Cooling Blade would have finished him off, but either way, they do manage to get away and keep that lead over General, who was actually going to be going for a Vanguard before, but it looks like after that death, he's going to switch it up to the faster Blink Dagger.
Yeah, I saw that too, and it was interesting. I think if you're just staying in the lane early, Shadow Demon gets found by Pyke at bottom. The Vanguard makes sense against the Enigma and what was struggling him in lane, but as far as the overall Navi game plan go, the faster Blink to me is like the better choice of the two.
One is not opting for the early level of Sunder against all this aggression. Is going to have to dig his way out of this hole.
No salve from Pyle down the TP, but his presence hopefully enough in itself.
They've got Pycat kind of stuck against his own illusions right now.
It's so tempting to go for that kill, you know, like one Lucent Beam on the Terrorblade with a right click is going to be enough, but all it takes is one TP in, and from like an Enigma with it. It's a level 4 Malefice now. Speaking of which, he's going to do, General gets forced to use a defensive Berserker's Call just to block some damage. For Maleficent is very powerful here, but now Kezu with it on cooldown is going to get gone on.
Aren't going to be able to get a small bit of damage there. Our men being turned around on. General forces Kezu back, and we'll go for the Eidolons, looking to clear through all of them.
That was like not just to farm, but also to save his life. The Sunstrike. Whew. Fortunately, if it had communicated that one a bit sooner, that would have been a kill. Even with just the 2 points in Exort, that was ample damage to bring down Slaughter.
How's that CS continued? 47 and 26 for Dendi compared to the 28 and 11 of MP. Sure enough, did go for a bit of a Wegsort build here and transferring into Quas Wex more as time goes on, but
yeah,
having very clear issues with CS against Laser and against the ganks of Navi. They're going to be able to get another one, maybe slowed down. MP is fast enough thanks to the high levels of Wex. Manages to stay one step ahead of the Frostbite.
Good positioning, far enough away that the Frostbite wasn't coming in. Even if it did, he had the Tornado, and I think that's something Navi, they scouted out there, like, look, we can't really go diving into a Tornado and TP rotation, but our men seems to think they can. Here come the TPs, and it's Enigma, no mech. Okay, Enigma will cancel now, and with that cancelled TP, this mid lane becomes a bit more exposed, but there's still a Terrorblade in the neighborhood, and there's still 4 heroes for Secret here if they want to go for a play.
Opting for a smoke here. I doubt Terrorblade's really going to be joining them. I presume he's going to use them to...
I mean, you join them, you take a tower is the nice thing here, so...
Oh, that's true, that's true.
Like, you show Shadow Demon in the mid, you get your level 6. Pilot Eye can TP up there if there's a big 5v5 clash, but you want to try and bait the Enigma. Problem is
this is
they're
going to be
not
bad.
fast enough.
If they get this quick kill, nice. The Tornado comes in, now the swap, they'll be able to get the catch. General is going to be caught by a stun, Malfist up as well. With the help of the Reflection, they'll be able to turn that, and as you said, turn this into a tower push with the meta.
Yeah, they're going to see if they can punish Pilot Eye. It's just a support, but it's still at least worth getting this kill. I may even get away with that Demonic Purge.
It's twice he manages to fog out the nuke coming from the...
Nice. And I don't think Navi are not going to push this mid lane all that fast. They've lost their siege creep. They've got a Luna, but just level 7. Iron Man dragging off the creep wave. It's going to be a much faster push from the Secret side. Very well done. Kezu almost got caught out there. Like, it was very much like, Kezu, you bait, we're coming up there to smoke, but he was very close to going down before the teammates arrived. Just managed to get the Tornado before there was a Culling Blade, and they get the tower, they TP mid, they're defending now. Navi, they're about to hit that Boots of Travel on Dendi, which is where they can kind of react to these aggressive plays and defend towers a bit better against the Terrorblade, but...
I like that Pykat's playing so aggressively, trying to create that space for the Tinker. They're going to be able to go for this 3-man rotation Reflection, and they will manage to pick up that one with the Eclipse. Navi, though, are going to have a straggler here. General's been... Oh, nice 2-man crush, actually. That's going to be able to catch Puppey as well. With the double kill onto Dendi. Now the jump forward. MP's been caught. He couldn't ghost walk out of that one. A call from General reveals the mid laner of Secret. They managed to pick up 3 kills, turn that into a tier 1 tower, and that will most definitely be Dendi having Boots of Travel plus some gold in the bank.
Yeah. Great call from just blow everything in the Enigma. Didn't even get a chance to use the mech. If not using the Eclipse there to kill the Enigma would have been a big mistake, and once Enigma's out of the fight, there's no way that this level 8 Invoker or level 8 Terrorblade with no items can turn that fight around. I mean, Terrorblade's stuck top. He's just farming. Metamorphosis is down, so you're not worried about him. The only thing you're worried about is Enigma popping the mech, turning and fighting with conversions, Malefice, or even a potential black hole. So once that Enigma is down, Secret will very weak in that fight, and that's something that they're going to have to continue to do. Most of the farm is concentrated right now on Enigma, which is something that Secret have to try and remedy by creating some space for the Terrorblade and for the Invoker.
Pilot Die is going to run into Dendi. This is perfect. Puppey's coming in too, but General's ready for the counter. Ready to go with the Blink Dagger at some point in time. Goes for Pilot Die. Dendi's still in trouble though. The EMP and the Purge is going to be able to blast him out. General, he managed to get the Culling Blade, but the movement speed, it's delayed, and General is going to die as well. 2 cores down from Navi. All that for little old Pilot Die. That's his specialty. Die for kills for Secret. It's going to be very happy with that exchange.
Yeah, nicely played it. Navi hoping just for like a free pick while they have Iron Man farming up top, and if Secret are going to commit that many heroes, Navi themselves need to have an Eclipse, have Luna down there, have not necessarily Slaughter, but they had a very small like little rotation going just with the Tinker, Crystal Maiden. and well, Tinker and the Axe really is the two big ones, and losing both of them since Secret are willing to fight early. This is the benefit of the Quaswex Invoker. There's no way you can fight and make that kind of a play with the Exort Invoker, but MP's being able to have a nice early game impact with less farm and just lower levels on his Invoker because of his build.
Now, another metamorphosis has been used by Mid1. He's opting to use this to farm neutrals a little bit quicker. Do you think that's the kind of play that they have in mind? Are they going to let Tinker have... Because they just ganked him and they got themselves some space, but I was wondering how much are they going to pressure these tier 1 towers early?
I think it's hard now that... I mean, Tinker is his travels, so... You also has maxed out the March, so even though you killed the Tinker once, by the time you get to those towers, he's back alive, and you're in a it's very dangerous to push into the Axe Blink. What?
All right, man.
Sunstreaker Fountain? Okay.
Yeah, it was a disruption. He goes for the TP out, and he had Purge on him as well. So he TPs out, and he's going to get hit by Purge and Sunstrike inside the fountain. Poor guy.
Yeah. I mean, my understanding from playing like the Terrorblade in this position is just like it's impossible to push. As much as you're typically playing the Terrorblade, you tell your team whenever you've Metamorphosis you want to TP to like a tower, group up and push against the Tinker. It's just not possible, and I think it's more efficient to just power farm through the jungle using your illusions, farm ancients. So popping Metamorphosis to farm the jungle, especially when you're behind like this, I think is pretty reasonable of Mid1. So I don't really mind him using the Metamorphosis just to farm some ancients there. Pushing against the Tinker is just like it's a nightmare. You need to get you fight around the BKB timing. Not that, and you don't want to rush the BKB. You go like Manta, Dragonlance, then the BKB probably, but it really is going to be a slower paced game from Secret because of what the Tinker does.
Okay, so you think some of these outer towers, some of the tier 1s and tier 2s, they're not really going to feel the big Terrorblade presence unless they get a smoke and then, and some sort of pickoff, and failing that, you're saying wait for Manta, wait for BKB, wait for the later game time.
Yeah, and there is room to go for those smoke plays. Like Puppy's got one in his backpack. I think if they find a key kill on like a Luna or a Tinker, or even the Axe is the initiator who kind of enables that tower defense, then you can look to the Metamorphosis being used to push, but that's something like which you can't rely on happening. So I think Mid1 just happy to play around it, not potentially happening. Iron Man's, whoa.
Almost got caught by that tornado. He gets caught by the tornado. He's caught by Kezu with the Malefice. And if he's caught by all that, he doesn't get Blink Dagger.
That was such a weird move around the map from him. Like that path, like trajectory that he took was just very odd.
I'm watching RMN going, what the hell, dude? Just farm your Blink Dagger. You're so close.
He's now being given the bottom lane.
Pycat is kind enough. See that control bottom lane too.
Not sure how much.
No.
We'll see how much stronger Navi get with this Slater Blink. I mean, they already had the Axe Blink, so I don't think it's like going to make a huge power spike for them necessarily. The bigger power spike actually comes from Dendy's Blink, which is now completed. He's almost reached that point where he's got max missiles and lasers, so his single target damage isn't quite at its full potential. So they may wait for him to get a couple more levels, but I mean, realistically, Navi they're the ones probably more pushing here because they can just layer the March down, do what they're doing bottom, Alpha Wolf Luna, protected by the March, and very hard to fight into this if you're Secret.
I like this. Navi, I completely agree with you, and it seems like Navi had pretty good control of the lanes when they went for this, so they're not even going to concede a tier 2 in exchange for that. They're already well in position ahead of the Terrorblade. They're not going to have to trade blow for blow here. They're actually going to get a nice economic lead.
Yeah.
Continue to make these same kind of plays. Get some lane control, make sure Terrorblade isn't threatening a tower, and then go for a Tinker push.
TB's back defending, so this may make... If you see the Terrorblade here, they may try and clear out their jungle, get aggressive, but they will need to do so as a big group because there's still 4 Secret heroes able to fight.
It's like they're going to catch Pycat here, maybe turn this into a tier 1, swap back into a tornado. That is one of the things. This offensive swap is going to be so deadly with the Invoker and the Terrorblade. Pylai may be caught here, General. He has the Blink Dagger coming up soon. It looks like it got canceled by Wave of Terror. He's going to wait out the disruption. He's going to go for this one. He decides against it, knowing that his life is not worth the life of Pylai's Shadow Demon. He holds off on his initiation.
This'll come in handy.
Good find, and Navi... I feel like they're strategically we're in a good position, but they can't afford to give up pickups like that one. They took a tier 2 tower at bottom, they defend top, but lone farmer in the mid lane gets called. It was a smoke rotation. I think that's where there's such good dire vision around this Roche area around the mid lane that Pycat felt very safe that he could see those rotations coming from top to mid or through the mid lane. So the smoke able to catch him out by surprise.
We're going to have the Ether Lens being built up next by the Tinker, I'm presuming followed by the Aghanim Scepter, and that'll be another really big power spike. Navi, correct?
Yep. Yeah, the Ags is where like it's very hard to fight into that Aether Lens Ags build. We'll see. I guess for Secret, like the Invoker's still slowly playing catch up in terms of his farm. Puppy's transitioning into a bit of a core with his itemization. Treads Helm. He's been going for the Helm regardless of what hero he's on, but can go for more of a right-click build with his current state. But I think more importantly, we'll see what Kezu looks like be going for a blink now. He had the pipe queued up earlier. Decided against it, goes for a blink now. Once that gap close against the Tinker, most especially, if you can catch him with a Malefice, makes it very difficult for him to rearm and just sets up the rest of your team to get on top of him. So, pickup I like to see.
Could see the big differential between the cores here, between Navi and Secret being shown on the net worth chart. 3,000 gold lead for them. You see both the Invoker, especially the Invoker, quite under-farmed. 6,700 net worth is trying to pick up just a 4-staff right now. To give him some opportunities. Puppy's going to be found by RMN and Pycat. Be too much of an issue. They can even get a Culling Blade in. Get themselves some nice movement speed, see if they can go for more. But Secret are already back and playing mid and bottom.
Can't play this top lane. They use Metamorphosis to farm again, and again, not a mistake. I think you can really tell Secret they've changed their tune. They've got a new game plan, which is going to be play for the late game. Like the fact they've gone for this Blink Dagger build over the pipe means they don't feel like they can push towers. They feel like they need to go for like the pickoffs. They need to go for the team fight, and they recognize that Navi have the heroes and the items to defend any 5-man push. And that's where, like, you're gonna see TB just try and catch his way back up through the Metamorph farm.
All right, man.
Nice pick off though.
Thought he was just keeping Secret honest. Blinking forward, getting a stun, seeing what Secret are doing there, but they just turn around, quickly kill him from a distance. Navi, as a whole, do come out pretty well, right? They did their mid tower with the Tinker. They kept bottom lane pushed in while gaining yet another objective. These are the general Tinker pushes that we're talking about. Can't split push, nor can you fight into them at this big power spike.
And Secret, I think off of that, they're gonna smoke up. See if this is gonna be in a. Can't go for Roshan, perhaps with the Helm creep, although it does leave the pit for now. I'd rather find another key kill. Find a Tinker. In the mid lane, doesn't quite get the vision he needs for a swap.
Now, it's Navi. Old 5-man here, Tornado EMP onto Pycat, but that will not give any opportunities for a Secret. Have too many heroes backing up that Tinker with the marching machines going, so Secret are going to fail to be able to get truly on the offensive yet again and farm their way to a better path later on.
BKB Enigma, so going for that BKB Black Hole kind of late game play where there's an Axe call to theoretically cancel it, although very difficult because of obviously you have to blink in close to get that call off. I think ideally Navi are going to look to initiate on the Enigma to make sure that he doesn't get that BKB hole off, but that's always tricky in itself. And even like Invoker, Midas is looking, I mean, you're always going to go Midas Invoker, so no difference there, but looking more for the late game. And Terrorblade, of course, just trying to get what farm he can. But Navi, recognizing they're strong at the moment, they don't want to keep giving Secret room to get this farm and play for the late game, are going to start getting aggressive.
Smoke up, straight into MP. MP, his quick reactions with Tornado may be able to save his life. Pylai Die is instead going to be the one caught out. Yeah. MP continues to run up.
Roche.
Pylai Die takes the smoke, and the team is going to look for more, see if they can catch anybody else. They really shouldn't, but MP gets a little close to Biver. Native goes down.
RMN
makes a blind jump in, not hitting anything there, but he does get some vision. Looks like Secret are actually going to fight this one out, though. Mid one has popped the Metamorphosis. He turns, quickly kills the Crystal Maiden. MP is being chased away. Pycat, they've got the vision on him, but they just need to close the distance. The Heat-Seeking Missile will manage to pick that up. That kills Puppy. He's also going to go down. Mid one finally TPs away. I thought for sure Secret were going to just TP out, but it looks like they tried to stage some sort of turnaround.
Yeah, perhaps some of the TPs even on cooldown as well. Like they were just, it felt like they were just kind of trapped a bit up there. And I love the call from Navi. It looked like, okay, they got the pick by Roche, they just take Roche, but they recognize weakness and that their opponents were fleeing, and they have such great catch with the Slaughter Axe. Speaking of which, they've now picked another. The Observer Ward setting up a free kill. Now I imagine they probably finally decide, okay, enough heroes are dead, we don't see any more pickoffs, let's take Roche. But really good call to chase. Iron Man misses the blind crush, but it was just that, it was a blind crush. He didn't have to land it, he just had to get in there, make sure that the TPs were being cancelled, get vision for his team. He had the Sentry Ward as well to scout out the Invoker and then amp him up. And then Dendi comes in and just cleans up. So really well played by Navi.
Enigma trying to scout right now with the Eidolons. It looks like they really do want to try and fight this one, but it's very risky. The Tornado's already interrupted Navi, but Navi a bounce out of the pit, started threatening that Enigma. Nice three-man call from General on the lower side. Is able to finish off one. They get off the turnaround, though, from mid one. He managed to get the Sunder down, but it's still not enough to finish off General, thanks in part to Dendi with the big-time nukes, and the laser miss percentage means that there is no hope for Secret to be able to get anything down. And I know they had to have known that was a risky play to try and contest Navi around that pit, but they tried it anyway, and very clearly got shut down.
Yeah, it looked like they were perhaps banking on Kezu coming up big, like coming in with the blink black hole, but he got scouted up by the Slaughter, so he got corrosive hazed up, and the dire vision around that pit was just too good. They had wards from the south side as well as the west side. They had two dire wards protecting that Roche, and I think if not for those wards, it goes fine. Like, Secret can potentially make that play with the Tornado EMP setup. You engage him with the Terror Blade. The Enigma comes in later on in the fight with the Black Hole, but because of all the vision Navi had, it was a very safe Roche to go for, and really good blink call from General, catching three, Dendi bursting everyone down. There was just not a whole lot they could do once they got caught.
That was beautiful. I think of the combination, right? Slardar keeping Kezu back on one side, and General getting that brilliant initiation. Speaking of Kezu, looks like he's dead, as that mech is not going to be enough to save him from all this power of Navi. So once again, they start going for some sort of objective. Secret get out of position. Navi quickly snap that one down, and they should be able to still keep pretty good control of the map and turn towards that last couple of remaining tier 2s.
Yep. Get that map control up, make it so you can play, not necessarily to end the game with this Aegis, but later on. Pycat's queued up and ultra. Is he going to go for the Lincolns, I guess, this game? Yeah, Lincolns against the Shadow Demon seems to be the preferred build for most Lunas, so it's a bit harder to get that disruption off at the start of a fight onto the Luna. It's like one of those items which just gives naturally good stats, so you don't really mind building it on a Luna. It doesn't really feel like, oh, I'm getting nothing out of this item. It gives you HP, it gives you Agi, and the spell block, of course, great on Luna as well.
Yeah, I liked it also versus the Vengeful Spirit.
Yeah.
The swap into the Terrorblade and multitude solutions, that is also something for Cat to fear, since he does so close lines. You can already see the Lincoln's play there. Attempt a bit of a poke at him. The push is still going to happen, though. Tier 2 tower is going to inevitably drop here. Secret are just looking to see if they any small windows of opportunity for a pickoff.
General just follows the media. Yeah. That's so obnoxious. I mean, luckily it's only 3 Exalt media, otherwise MP would have taken more damage from that one, but I mean, Navi look like they're going to scale very well. Like, even CM going back from Midas is a great call. It means you're going to make sure you get those late game, like that level 3 ultimate as early as possible. It makes sure you get your late game talents. And CM's a hero that actually late game does a very impressive amount of damage through the freezing field. So the CM's going to scale well. The Axe is already looking fantastic with his farm. Slaughter's got his blink. Slaughter, I guess, could consider a Midas as well, but wants to go for a bit more fight now. Picks up a 4-star for the team. And Navi in a really strong advantageous position now.
Yeah, they've got Tinker Luna 27 minutes in with almost a 10,000 gold lead, almost 20,000 experience. There's the Lincoln's pop. They're going to be able to get the swap back. Disruption goes down. They're going to try and target Pycat down first. It's going to cost Puppy his life, but RMN, nice introduction there with a blink in and a crush, keeps the rest of Secret at bay. So Pycat's actually able to get out. Low HP, yes, but Aegis still intact.
Yep. Keeping him alive means you can perhaps sustain the push a bit longer, although that Aegis expiring in a minute or so, so more than likely it'll be just for the tier 2 plus shrines. think it can come back in and bottle up Pycat if they really want, but I mean, this Terrorblade Metamorphosis and just TB Illusions are useless versus Tinker. This Aghanim Scepter just destroys them, and it just doesn't feel like the TB is going to offer a whole lot. We'll have the BKB soon, which means at least the main hero that's BKB can fight and do some good damage. But that's more against the Luna than against the Tinker. And the Luna the Reflection as well, very good against the Luna, so that Luna will have to be very careful on the front lines about fighting into the TB, but mid one does not have damage items to go with the BKB.
So we're very clearly setting a high ground defense stage for Secret.
Yes.
Talking about maybe waiting out the second Roshan for Navi, getting that second Aegis, and going high ground from there. How does Terrorblade scale past the BKB, right? He'll have the BKB for the next push, most likely. What do you do from there, though?
I think he scales very well against the Luna. Like, I don't think there's any stage of the game where you feel good playing against Terrorblade as Luna unless you're like 10k net worth ahead, which could happen because you may just get starved out while defending high ground. But I think TB can scale very well, like with more items beyond the BKB, just whatever damage items you want to go for. Maybe you want an MKB to deal with the butterfly, most likely. You probably want a butterfly of your own at some point, Skadi, like whatever items you want to go for. You're going to get a lot stronger. You're going to always struggle against the Tinker just because you can't really get on top of him. That's where you're always going to have to rely on your teammates, the Invoker, to find him with a Tornado, rely on the Vengeful Spirit to find him with that swap, and that's where I think Secret are going to have their biggest struggles. Like, yeah, the Luna on the front lines can be dealt with, but Navi's only ever going to come fight at you with the Luna on the front lines if Luna has an Aegis. And that's something which Navi is going to probably wait for before they go for any aggressive high ground push.
So in that case, if the Tinker's going to get stronger later on to the game, do you think this BKB and its 10-second to 5-second window, do you think that timing, the longer charge of the BKB, is when Secret needs to get aggressive, or do you think they can play a little bit for the late game, knowing that they have to go into a Tinker still?
I think their only option is to still play for the late game. As much as like you want to get your most value out of like the first couple fights with a 10-second BKB, those fights won't look pretty if you're fighting outside your base. Maybe if you're catching them by surprise with a good smoke gank, but worry is they don't have, like, they're relying on a swap initiation. They don't have like the Slaughter or the Axe themselves. They don't have that blink stun catching hero. They've got to swap into like a Malefice, and it's not a very reliable initiation. So Secret smoke plays around the map are not very scary. So I think that's where high ground defense is always where you're going to look strongest. So just defending high ground with the BKB seems fine. Or mid one.
They're going to catch something here mid one. His TP is going to be canceled. That is so bad. They know they're going to get mid one.
Yeah.
They know he's dead. The rest are going to be able to escape. MP and Kezu were able to get out, but a nice net there from Navi coming in from all sides, essentially, to catch Secret outside of the base.
Yeah, and looking around, like for Secret, it's like the high ground defense with the swap initiation is, to me, where they're at their strongest. Trying to pull a hero deep into the base near like past the tier 3 towers, drag Navi in as deep as possible, and that's where the TB can shine because he's not very mobile. He doesn't have the Hurricane Pike to push himself around. He's very slow in the Metamorphosis, and he's got to like try and play around the reflection. So the more heroes he can pull in for that reflection, the stronger he'll be, and that also pulls in heroes to the potential BKB black hole, and that's something which Navi will be very cautious about pushing into. I believe they've spotted the BKB by now. They're going to be having to either play around the cooldown or at least play around the fact that that black hole exists anytime they go for a push.
Puppey feeling a couple of heat-seeking missiles on his backside. He'll have the back of an MP, Tornado EMP, burned out General. Still, the call opportunity's there, but he misses it very slightly. MP is still caught, though. RMN managed to get the crush onto him, so they still get a bigger hero than Puppey, for sure. MP's Invoker goes down.
I'm watching that, I was thinking like that TP from Puppey is not going to work, and then the Deathling Blast comes in, is like, okay, MP just saved him, good guy MP, but dying to save your support Venge? Not sure about that. I mean, I like the mentality where it's like, yeah, we're playing together as a team and making those coordinated plays, but yeah, that does set you back further. There's no real item that MP's working on, but the problem is not having buyback doesn't seem to matter right now. There's no real high ground push attempt from Navi. I think they're gonna be very slow and methodical about this one just because of Enigma Terrorblade threat and the swap to pull someone in, but They ideally just want to have, Pycat on the front lines and then everyone else as far away from Pycat as possible. Put the Lincolns on him. He's got the Lincolns being given by General as well, so you can't even swap Pycat into the base.
And to get some damage onto the Raxes, those bouncing glaives are going to go to work unless Secret finds some sort of initiation.
Oh, that was
now,
the swap block.
Like...
Oh, that was the double Lincolns. Yeah, he had the Lincolns from his axe, and then it gets popped, but he still has his own Lincoln, so...
He
thought he had an opening.
Quite well.
Yeah.
Sunstrike checking out the Roshan pit. Navi. Now they both know that Roshan is up, but Navi are really the only ones with the power to take it. Secret may have the power to contest. Do they have a smoke? They have one in Pylai Die.
They just bought one, but I think it's going to die too fast with Amp. They may use it thinking they can contest it, but as soon as they see that message, they're going to be like, all right, let's back off. Defend high ground is probably the better call. And yeah, I think they realize by now they're going to be too long. They may as well save that smoke for the high ground defense.
Coming. Navi. A small window, man. They take out MP, then they take down that tier 3 tower during that small little window when he's dead. Now they've got an Aegis to work with, and they don't even have to use that Aegis to beat down a tier 3. I think that's a secret. I'm not even sure if you should try and contest him. But honestly, Luna is that strong once you start getting those glaives out onto the Raxes. Like, preemptive damage is already in place.
I'm on board with that call. And she's going to have the double Lincolns again. Like,
unless you fight outside the base, right? Okay. Unless you get this smoke wraparound and do catch Navi before they go for the high ground. They place the ward and everything, setting this all up.
Who can they catch? Ideally, you want General, I guess. He doesn't have an Aegis. He's the key hero.
They only see Luna right now. They know the rest are in this tree area. They see Tinker now for a moment.
The smoke's about to end and there's a ward there.
Oh, they see Slardar, and now bad news for Secret.
He's up. Don't see this ending well for Secret.
No, it's certainly not. Pylai Die is going to be the first one down. Fortunately, no Culling Blade. That movement speed. Not going to save Cat. Oh, no, he does get the blink away.
Okay.
But now
Mid-Rax definitely not being defended now. MP's almost kind of glaives in his own base. Goodbye Rax, goodbye Shrines as well with this. There's the free rack. I mean, that's a worth going for kind of play, but Navi's positioning was really good there. That was very well spaced by them.
Cat getting some damage on a puppy. The follow-up is there from the Tinker. Shrine going to be activated here, trying to go for Bycat. He gets a Force Staff away, and the initiation from RMN also stops that one. He is going to be caught by the swap from Puppy, but it makes sure that the Aegis stays intact for Navi, and they just reset in another minute.
Yeah, reset without Metamorph now. That's actually, like, you got to be very careful at how you use that Metamorphosis, because Slatter's going to respawn with Metamorphosis on cooldown for about 60-70 seconds. You still have Aegis. This is where you, like, tell your team, let's group up, let's heal. Shrine if you need to. No one's actually that low. Tinker, so on using any HP and mana, he can always, of course, make those free trips back, and I think Navi are going to be headed down that bottom lane as soon as Slatter respawns, knowing that there's no Metamorph.
Really, I don't see any big upgrades coming in for... You've got the Scotty coming in maybe for the Terrorblade, but that's going to be at a cost of buyback, most likely, if he gets it before the next fight. And
I think it's worth buying, but it's like it's not going to make a big difference when you don't have Metamorphosis. So,
somewhat similar situation for MP too. He's looking at that Octarine. He's got 2,700 gold, but he is not close enough to get it before the next fight.
Yep. So Navi, not aggressive. They've done a good job split pushing this top lane. So it's like Navi's like, well, if we want to go down this bottom lane, force another lane of Rax, we're potentially losing stuff at top. Iron Man's going to ward to at least get some... I like this ward a lot, because it's where you're like, okay, if we want to defend this tower, we need to have vision. We may just make the call to go for bottom racks, and I think, if anything, you ignore this tier 2 tower, take bottom racks, and then TP back should Secret try and force the issue up top. Secret do not push fast enough without the... I mean, TP's defending base, so there's no one pressuring the high ground at the top. And this may just be a free racks.
It's kind of looking like it with the Tornado EMP in the tier 3 tower, almost down. Navi out of the danger zone. Set once again for this push to finish off that tier 3 and crack open bottom lane of Raxus.
Reflection very annoying, but not annoying enough to deter Pycat.
Cat with a soul catcher on him. There's the initiation from General. A disruption counter out from Pylite Die. Helps out mid one. He still has the Sunder ready to go too. He's about half HP. Now the lasers start coming in. The black hole. It's a good one. He managed to catch two, but Dendy's still in the back line, dishing out the damage. General almost going down with the Urn Charge. Not quite good enough. A Sunstrike maybe. Oh, General! He stopped point blank right in front of the Sunstrike like he knew. Secret now have to bounce back with Kez buyback and see if they can still fight this one out without their big ultimates, but it just seems unlikely. Metamorphosis is up now. Maybe they can actually get their initiation on an RMN, double four snaps, and a Lincoln's. They'll get the cover necessary. Stay back. They won't have Black Hole, but they will have Metamorphosis. If they desperately want to save this lane of racks, they can still fight.
Yeah, we'll see if Navi want to commit for it or not. They may just send Luna up with the Lincoln Sphere once again and try and finish it off. They've got both of them so low, but it's annoying to push into the disruption.
Soul Catcher and a lot of damage. Nice Tornado right. The initiation was about to come in from RMN. They're forced back. Double four snaps actually gets them out of the range of that deafening blast.
Yeah.
But the range of racks is still alive with 14 HP. Melee begins to regen back up.
Yeah. Satanic pickup nice to sustain the push, but I think with a BKB there, that's like a free rack, so. I mean, again, I'm sure Pycat's looking at this like, probably should have gone BKB instead of Satanic. Satanic's kind of like the nicer late game fighting item against like an enemy carry, but realistically, as far as objectives go, the BKB is what's going to make the difference. The reflection's still going to hit you, you still get caught by Black Hole, but when you re-engage there when Black Hole's on cooldown, you want to have a BKB. That's guaranteed lane of rack with a BKB, but either way, not the end of the world. Still very good position for Navi to be in. They may actually catch mid one here.
You can't get caught like this. The Blade Mail's going to go down. They have the amp and crush. Not even close. 50 seconds down for the Terrorblade. Secret had worked so hard to save that bottom lane of ranks, but a pick off like that means it's just going to be given away for free.
Yeah, they can keep on trying to stall things, but Black Hole 20 seconds away. Esu also working on a refresh roll, but he won't have this defense.
Cat leading the charge here, but there's not much MP can do to threaten him, to be honest.
Yeah, there's the racks, and Navi can just back off with their spoils if they so choose to. Drawing lines to loop around a bit here. They do need to be careful. That Black Hole has come back up, and Kezu really wants, he could even like sell his mech to buy the refresher or something. I think it'd still be a little bit short, but to sell like the mech plus Soul Ring if he feels like he wants to have a second Black Hole, or if he uses the Black Hole and they don't win the fight hard enough and then they have to defend again. That's where you look at selling those items to get the refresher up.
They may need to do something like that. Our circumstances and all that. Currently 2 lanes of racks down. 30,000 net worth lead for Navi. Same goes in experience. Secret are very definitely a small percentage to hold this game one together.
I mean, their big late game carry with the most farm is hard countered by or 2 of the 3 carries. Yes, TV was picked up as a good Luna counter, but Axe with Blade Mail just blinks in, destroys Terrorblade, and Tinker is the best Terrorblade counter in the game. Navi looking to go for the killing blow, though.
And killing blow on Pylite Die anyway. The swap back there from Puppy is a bit of a save. Pylite Die still taking some glaive damage. Missiles, rockets start coming in. Secret will survive against that push, but it's just one of many. Navi look to be able to close out the game nice and clean with the smoke. Doesn't quite get it. They may still have to wait out Roshan number 3 for that last time.
Yeah, it's one of those things, if you're in Navi's shoes, you're just like, well, we'd like to end this game now, go into game 2, but if they're going to be stubborn about it and keep on defending, well, we'll also be stubborn and wait for that third Aegis. Wait for the BKB of Luna. I assume that he's queued it up. I assume it's going to be purchased. May want to save onto the buyback, at least for now. Be on the safe side and just prefer to have an Aegis, but very short Roche respawn. Icat is going to be nice and favorable for Navi.
General gifted with a full wave of Eidolons. Jumped on them, and they were just 3, and then as he jumped on them, they split in. He was like, 100 gold, no problem.
As you did sell his mech, by the way, so he's got the refresher. But
he's gonna hide in the trees and not let Navi know a damn thing about this. And
I mean, he may be sitting here for a while.
Okay, Navi are actually gonna back away from this Roshan attempt. Now, if they give up this fight, this could actually be Roshan.
I'm not going for it.
For Secret, if this fight goes awry for Navi, it's a little bit surprising they don't take that more conservative path and just pick up the free extra life. Okay,
they're back. They've seen it now. I guess in their minds they don't know if Roche could have been 2-3 minutes away. It was a very fast respawn, and they don't want to just sit around letting Secret farm up big items like the refresher. If they hadn't seen the refresher, I don't think they've still seen the refresher. I think Kezu has just remained hidden since picking this up. He wants to make this as big a surprise as possible. I mean, on paper, realistically, there's nothing that's going to cancel a BKB black hole. Like, the chances of Axe getting that cancel is very, very low. So Kezu wants to remain hidden and catch Navi by surprise.
The small chance that he does get both the Luna and the Tinker, that is pretty much the fight over, and a huge swing. Yeah, because a refresher is how many seconds is that? 8 seconds of disable on those 2 carries. If he can catch him on the first one, he's got him on the second ones.
Yeah, I feel like the first is going to be for the Aegis, the second would be for the hero itself. Icat has the BKB in his backpack. He's not going to use it for his first life. It looks like he'll blow the Aegis and then put it on his hero post-Aegis. But he's going to get delayed. It's very annoying to push into Reflection. Every Reflection takes away like 600-700 HP.
Force Staff is definitely the name of the game in match right now with sieging action that's going on. And after time, your core goes forward.
That's been like every...
And Force Staff. Bit more damage onto that tier 3. Down to half health now for Pycat. He's got Satanic, though, to heal up on the next wave. Initiation. Hans, I might have lost you, but... Alright, okay. Oh, there's the initiation, the black hole, and the BKB. Black hole used on Pycat. That's going to be life number 1. But on the back lines, Dendy's already getting a lot of damage onto MP. A swap is necessary. Puppy may lose his life for that one. RMN, oh, in the back lines, he barely got caught by the last shot of the tier 4 tower and ends up dying because of it. So, the first black hole is a bit of a success. It kills the Aegis, and they managed to get a +1 in the Slardar. Navi, I'm not sure if they want to keep going for this push without that extra hero. Dangerous part's going to be for Navi is that these death timers, if they do actually get taken on in this next fight, death timers may be long enough that black hole is up again for the push after that. They see this constant defense.
Haste.
There's the next black hole. That'll be an easy kill on Pycat. Navi not even going to try and contest that. They do get the tier 3 tower when it's all said and done, so... Kezu's going to make that initiation even better. Look at that. Going to pick up a Shadow Blade to see if he can just get a little bit closer for those Blink Dagger black holes. Secret push out, good time for it. They know they have the numbers advantage right now with the Luna down, even out the black hole. All they're really getting here is a little bit of farm. I'm not even sure they're going to be able to get that tier 2 with Luna coming up in just 8 more seconds.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
A soldier's fortune.
I like the switch up to the Octarine. They do survive for a while, and he gets a nice amount of golds. Or that cooldown reduction even more. Give Navi just the hardest time ever, where they just can't seem to crack base. It's possible. Gods, you clearly have no respect for the support Luna. Come on. That is true. Look up our Crystal Main. Been a great game for Biver, and he's only level 20. That level 25 has never come.
The demon's blessing. Double damage.
I don't know, dude. I'm pretty sure Puppy's thinking about, you know, picking Pudge, and he's thinking about that 55-minute game aspect, you know? He doesn't care about the first 50 minutes, but... That's true. Yeah, you gotta make sure you eat a hearty meal, use the bathroom, all that before you casted those secret matches. Bottom lane, MP, this is a big pickup. They've got the Scythe of Ice to combo stun him. This should be just a free pickoff and forced buyback now from MP. They're closing in on all lanes too. Pushing in mid, pushing in bottom. Now the Luna comes forward with his BKB. There goes the black hole. Pycat's going to be torn apart pretty quickly by mid one as he pops his BKB, but the Satanic goes down. Pycat's actually surviving. Now the call. He gets a full heal out on Pycat. Yeah, Terrorblade's dead. He doesn't have Metamorphosis. Black hole comes back in from Kezu on a smidgen of HP. They might just be able to finish off Pycat, but no, he survives. The lifesteal goes going in, and now the laser. They cannot put the damage, and it's all over for Secret just like that. They get the swap onto Dendi, a good sender, but Midwan is left against so many heroes by himself. Pycat comes back in for round 2. Midwan amplified up, calling Blade on the back lines, and that's it. GG called from Secret. They held on respectively for the last 20 or 30 minutes, but comeback was a very unlikely opportunity.